At the engagement banquet, my fiancé Ethan gave me and my assistant Sophia each a wedding dress. Sophia's was a limited edition from an international designer, while mine was a two-layer tulle bikini style that was a bit see-through. Ethan said in a matter-of-fact tone, "You don't need to come on the wedding day. There will be many business elites among the guests who need to discuss projects, and Sophia is more suitable to attend. I will make it up to you later that night, so it's not like I'm not marrying you. Please understand." I froze. My mind went blank. The atmosphere at the dinner table suddenly fell silent, and it felt especially awkward. Sophia came over pretending to be friendly and handed me the wedding dress in the box. "Olivia, Ethan is also thinking about the interests of the company. Don't think too much. In fact, Ethan still cares about you very much. This wedding dress was specially selected by him for you. He knows that you like this style at home." After that last sentence, Sophia almost couldn't help laughing. She pretended to be calm and comforted me. There were a lot of people around, looking at me with contempt. "This Olivia seems very conservative, but in fact she is quite flamboyant in private. No wonder Ethan would fall for this girl. It turns out that he has put in a lot of effort with her. Obviously I am Ethan's official fiancé, but now I have become the woman who goes to great lengths to get close to him." I didn't have time to explain, so I could only ask incredulously, "Ethan, do you really need to get married to talk about the project? Is this just an excuse, and what you really want is to marry Sophia? I had worked overtime for a month to help you win the big project, and I was almost exhausted." Ethan was worried about my health and anxiously hoped that I would go home to rest and be a full-time housewife. It was at that time that Sophia was hired. We have worked many overtime shifts together and worked on many projects, and we have become good partners at work. Ethan always complained to me in private that she was too dominant, but I never thought that she would do such an outrageous thing. He looked as if he had something on his mind, his eyebrows furrowed even more tightly, and he didn't even dare to make eye contact with me. "Olivia, if there's something going on, let's talk about it when we get home. Don't ruin the mood today. I'm asking you, do you want to marry Sophia?" I stared at Ethan and continued to ask, but he suddenly turned his head and stopped talking to me. He only left 2 words that were meant to be lighthearted: "Don't mess around." For 5 years, I have been by his side, from having nothing to having everything. In the most difficult times, I gave up my dreams and worked 5 jobs alone, doing whatever I could to save money to help him start his business. Later, in order to help him expand his business, I bowed and scraped everywhere, and drank so much that I had stomach problems at this moment. All my hard work seems to have become a joke. If that's the case, then you really want to be together, and I will no longer be involved. I threw the object in my hand onto the floor, and my fingernails dug into my flesh. "This thing, consider it a gift from you. I don't feel clean." I turned expressionless and turned to leave. Sophia rushed over to grab me, but she fell over herself. I didn't even touch her. Ethan finally reacted, angrily grabbing my arm. "Olivia, it's just a small problem. Why are you so agitated? Sophia was just trying to comfort you out of good intentions. Don't overthink it and think that everything is bad. Apologize quickly." Sophia was already crying bitterly, surrounded by family and friends comforting her. She said, "If my sister doesn't like me, then I'll quit tomorrow. I don't want to affect Ethan's feelings." Her parents died a long time ago, and for the past 5 years, she has been revolving around Ethan, and her contact with friends has slowly decreased. Everyone there was Ethan's family, and everyone was blaming me. Some of the things they said were really hurtful. The only reason we didn't kick her out was because Ethan took responsibility for her. She still wasn't giving in at all. "Sophia, you can't leave. You're so important to Ethan's career." I suddenly realized that Ethan had probably said something like that to me in front of his relatives. In his heart, I'm probably not even an important person. That made me feel really bad. "Ethan, you should be the one apologizing." I held my head high and spoke slowly, refusing to admit fault. Ethan's face turned red, and he raised his hand but then withdrew it. His fingers trembled slightly as I said to Olivia, "Do you really want to do this? I have indulged you for so many years, and there are so many people here today. You should behave yourself." I looked up and took a close look at every corner of the box. The red theme didn't really go with the pink and white dress I was wearing, but Sophia's red cheongsam was more like the focal point of the day. The flower in Ethan's hair, which he had made by hand over several nights, was shining on Sophia's head and really made my eyes sparkle. I was very happy to have touched his unfinished work before, but I was hit on the hand by Ethan. Actually, everything happens for a reason. A tear fell on the tip of my shoe. I knew it was time to stop. I threw the table over with all my strength. The dishes on the red paper immediately turned into glass shards and soup, spilling onto Sophia's wedding dress. Then I quickly tore off the red cloth and threw it in Ethan's face. "Ethan, that's my limit." I covered my mouth and hurried out the door. Before I got in the elevator, I heard Sophia crying and asking from there, "Ethan, don't worry about me. Go find Olivia. She's in a bad mood right now, and if something happens, it'll be trouble." Ethan said coldly, "Olivia has a bad temper and a bad character, so don't pay any attention to her. If something happens to her, it'll be her own problem." I covered my aching chest and staggered to a car on the side of the road. After giving the address of my home, I finally couldn't hold back my tears. While waiting at a red light, an unfamiliar driver handed me a pack of tissues. But my fiancé didn't even call. When I got home, the first thing I did was rummage through a few thick photo albums we first met on the university campus. Ethan had short, sunny hair and sparkling eyes. He was universally recognized as the handsome and studious guy on campus, but he was never interested in any girl, and he pursued me for 4 whole years. It turns out that love can suddenly change. I opened my lighter and burned them one by one, burning our past together. I was so tired that I curled up on the sofa and fell asleep. In the middle of the night, a thin blanket was gently placed over me. A familiar hand stroked my hair gently. My relatives kept pulling me back, so I had a few drinks. It was just a social occasion today, so don't think too much about it. A few hours ago, I saw Ethan's friend post a status update. Sophia was leaning against Ethan's arm, wearing the same jacket and holding a fairy wand in her hand. I bought some fairy wands on my birthday to celebrate with Ethan, but he thought I was too childish and refused, saying that they were just something for kids to play with. I let out a soft "oh" hand turned around. Ethan could hear that my voice was a little hoarse, so he put his hand on my forehead and asked, "Olivia, do you have a fever?" I felt a little uncomfortable. "You don't need to worry about that." Ethan let out a heavy sigh. "Olivia, Sophia's parents have very strong connections, and as long as we can establish a connection with them, we can enter the upper class. I also hope to take on more projects to make your life better. Do you know how embarrassing it was for me today? It really tires me out." I suddenly remembered that when we first graduated, Ethan and I scrimped and saved to rent a small 10-square-meter apartment. Back then, the happiest thing every day was to squeeze into the small single bed, count the money we earned each day, and think about when we could buy our own house and when we could start our own business and become our own boss. Later, these things were all realized one by one, and Ethan became busier and busier. Later, he left early every day and returned late, almost always by Sophia's side. Our lives are getting better and better, but it seems that we are gradually growing apart. It hurts so much in my heart. I gently wiped away the corner of my eye. "Ethan, what kind of life can be considered a good life? You can't make enough money, and your life is already pretty good now. Let's get married and live our own lives. Please, promise me. If you quit Sophia and never contact her again, I'll let go of everything." Ethan's head hung down, his eyes growing heavy. "Olivia, it hasn't been easy for me to get to this point. Okay, I'll take you to the hospital. You have a fever." I was pulled into the car. At some point, Ethan's car interior had been completely replaced with pink. The seat sticker in front of my legs was particularly conspicuous, and it said "for Sophia the Fairy." Ethan cleared his throat a little awkwardly. Sophia was leaning close and playing. I looked down and made an appointment on my phone. Ethan added, "Don't post it on WeChat. Sophia will be upset if she sees it," with a tone of endearment. It seemed like he felt he had said the wrong thing, so he added, "Don't think too much. That's what I meant." "Okay, I'm a little tired." I interrupted him and closed my eyes, leaning against the window. The cold night air blew through the gap and scraped my forehead, feeling like a lot of small knives stabbing, which was very painful. But no one cared about my pain. Ethan's phone rang, and Sophia's sobbing voice came through. I was preparing the documents for tomorrow's meeting, but I accidentally cut my hand. I'm not good with blood, so I didn't wait for Ethan to speak, and there was only a busy tone on the other end of the phone. Ethan looked very nervous and slammed on the brakes. Due to inertia, I hit the windshield and was roughly pulled out of the car when I felt dizzy. "Go to the hospital yourself. Sophia is in danger now." It was dark at night, and only the old gas station in front of me gave off a faint light. A few drops of rain fell on me, and I couldn't help but shiver, raising my voice a bit. Ethan, are you going to leave me here alone? If Sophia was really afraid of blood, why would she have called? Ethan pinched his forehead impatiently. Olivia, can you stop being so prejudiced against Sophia? What did she do to make you so against her? You know what? When I came back, she even persuaded me to comfort you. With a pop, the car door closed. Before I knew it, Ethan was gone. The rain was getting heavier, and I was completely soaked. There was no signal on my phone, and I couldn't hail a cab. I huddled in the corner of the gas station, shivering. Suddenly a black car pulled up in front of me, and a few men who didn't look friendly whistled at me. I was so scared that I turned pale, and I accidentally fell over the railing. When I woke up, I was already in a hospital bed, with a thick cast wrapped around my leg. The doctor told me that a passing car had taken me to the hospital. Fortunately, I wasn't hurt. The doctor told me to tell my family. I took out my phone and, after a long consideration, I finally called Ethan. Just then, a familiar ringtone sounded at the door. Ethan carefully helped Sophia walk across. You can't get wet for a few days, so just rest, and I'll take care of the rest. Sophia leaned against his shoulder with her index finger, which was covered in a band-aid, and cooed. Ethan, you're really good to me. I couldn't help but smile, but I couldn't hold back the tears. Olivia, where have you been all night? I couldn't get through on the phone. It's just that I have something urgent to tell you, I said coldly. Behind you. Ethan suddenly turns around and meets my pale gaze. His eyes tremble slightly at the sight of me, and his tone becomes tense. Olivia, what's wrong with you? You were fine when I left yesterday. Are you really okay? I look at him disappointedly. Sophia is so angry that she almost grinds her teeth, but she jokes in a gentle tone. Olivia, it's all my fault. I took up Ethan's time after work and made you unhappy. Ethan paused, withdrew his hand, and his eyes began to grow cold. He said, Olivia, I didn't think you would be jealous and pretend to be hurt. Can you stop doing such childish things? He looked at his phone. Never mind, the boss is almost here, so you should hurry and get dressed and accompany us to the reception. Sophia is hurt and can't drink. The doctor couldn't help but widen his eyes and sternly remind them that I can't move now, let alone drink. Ethan laughed contemptuously. Stop acting, this is really funny. I desperately tried to break free, but my body was too weak and I had no strength at all. In the hospital room, where all the family members of the patients were, they actually took off my hospital gown and put on a backless dress with a V-neckline that went down to my belly button. Sophia took out her cosmetics and smeared them all over my face. She applied it quite hard, and the mascara accidentally touched my eyes, making me tremble with pain. Olivia, I understand that you don't like me, but this is for Ethan's company, there's no other way. You kept moving, so I couldn't apply the makeup at all. Should I make the client wait for us? Ethan's expression was already very bad. I was dragged to the back of the car. Sophia turned back triumphantly and said, Sorry, Olivia, I get carsick easily, so I can only sit in the front. Let me get out, I shouted. Ethan's face clearly showed his impatience, and he slammed on the gas. Olivia, aren't you just the passenger? You're always so noisy, is it really never ending? My patience has a bottom line too. The repeated impact of the broken bones made me feel like passing out. Finally, we pulled up at a 5-star hotel in the suburbs. Ethan and Sophia had already gone inside while I struggled to open the car door. Unable to put any pressure on my leg, I slumped to the ground. Can you hurry up and stop dawdling? Ethan impatiently walked out and pulled me inside. I'm very unhappy with the things you've been doing lately. If you can close the deal today, I'll forgive you for your previous actions. The fat man was already waiting in the private room, his eyes constantly wandering over me. I couldn't help but feel a wave of unease, and took a few steps back. I'm not going. Ethan, you're pushing me. I'm going to call the police. Sophia suddenly felt aggrieved. Ethan, let it go. Olivia hasn't accompanied you to any social engagements for so many years. She doesn't understand the rules of those dinner parties, and it's only natural that she doesn't want to go. If we can close this deal, the drinking won't be that important, so let me do it. But even though I said that, my hand never moved. Ethan was very angry, and pulled me very hard. He said, "Olivia, you've enjoyed yourself for so long, it's time for you to do something for me. But it's just a drink. Do you really need to make such an effort?" I was squeezed next to a greasy man. Sophia suddenly covered her stomach and asked Ethan to help her to the toilet. I was crying and about to faint, and I begged Ethan with all my heart not to leave me. However, the door of the box was slammed shut, and I could only hear a cold voice say, "Olivia, behave yourself and don't let me down." I knocked hard on the door, but there was no response from inside. The greasy man was licking his lips, taking off his clothes piece by piece and walking towards me. I felt desperate and could only kneel down and beg him not to do it. "Ethan is very capable and you will definitely be satisfied working with him." But he just gave a cold smile. "Stop struggling, my dear, I still have a task to complete and I have to answer to Sophia." I froze. This was Sophia's trap for me. I quickly scanned the room and tried to calm myself down. I smashed the ashtray on the table with all my strength and pointed the broken glass at my neck. "How much did she pay you?" "I'll pay you 10 times that. Or I'll show you how desperate I am. There's a price to pay for hurting people." I was shaking all over and my voice was shaking too. Focusing my mind, I tried to be brave. The man was not afraid, but became even more bold as he charged at me. I wanted him to stop right now. "Sophia offered me a 6-figure sum. Can you afford it?" He walked slowly, stopping at every step, looking at me with a playful gaze, clearly knowing that I would neither take the risk nor pay that much. Ethan had given me a lot over the years, but he really couldn't afford to pay 10 times as much as a 6-figure sum. My heart felt cold, like a pile of ashes, only a life force kept it going. What was I afraid of? I opened my eyes wide and forced myself to face it. Blood ran from the palm of my hand, and I had a scrape on my neck. "I'm dead now, and it's because you threatened me. You'll become a murderer. Let's see if your Sophia really has the ability to go against the law and save your life." The man hesitated, but only slightly. I thought about it for a long time, and finally ripped the red string from my neck. Hanging from the bottom of the string was an emerald jade plaque wrapped in a peace charm. It was something that Ethan had passed down from his family. Ever since I decided to go to the big city with him and fight for a better life, he had firmly hung that jade plaque around my neck, as if he had accomplished an important task. This jade plaque will only be passed down to my daughter-in-law Olivia. Whether I succeed in the future and can provide you with a good life, or even if you fall in love with someone else, you will always be the only wife in my heart. Ethan really loved me at that time, loved me deeply, I could feel it. That was the situation at that time. When the blood from his neck dripped onto his collar, the man's eyes finally revealed a hint of panic. He glanced around quickly, tucked the jade plaque into his shirt, and then took a step back. "Okay, I'll do as you say. Is that good enough?" Without dropping the broken glass in his hand, he pressed harder. With his other hand, he quietly turned on the video function on his phone. "Sophia is willing to pay you, and I will give you a share as well. Use this jade plaque to offset the rest of your debt. Tell me, what does she want?" Hearing that there was still money to be made, the man immediately became excited and quickly told the whole story. "Sophia said that if anything happened to you, Ethan would definitely be disappointed in you. What kind of man would like an unfaithful woman?" He snorted coldly again, showing a look of disdain. "Who told you to meddle in other people's affairs and destroy Sophia's feelings? They have been dating for a long time, and you, a stranger, really deserve her? Don't even think about your situation." Although I had long suspected what had happened between Ethan and Sophia, hearing it for myself was still hard. I endured the discomfort and continued, "Did Sophia tell you this?" The man played with the jade tablet in his hands and answered bluntly, "Of course. I truly feel sorry for Sophia. She's about to get married, and she has to deal with all this annoying stuff on her own. She was afraid that Ethan would be upset, so she specifically told me not to tell anyone else. I've helped you now, so don't spread the word." I think she was worried that Ethan would be angry if he found out. I gave a small smile. "You can't tell anyone about what happened today. Just pretend you've already done what Sophia asked and carry on as normal." I let out a sigh of relief as the broken glass in my hand fell to the ground. Suddenly, the door opened, and I felt a chill on my back. Unconsciously, I was covered in sweat, and my hair was sticking to my forehead in disarray. Sophia walked in, and when she saw me like this, she couldn't contain her excitement. She cleared her throat and said in a fake surprised voice, "What have you all been up to? The floor is full of clothes, and the ashtray is broken. And Olivia, why are you sweating so much? And why are you still panting? Ethan froze for a moment, then quickly walked over. The man picked up the clothes on the floor that hadn't been worn yet, patted Ethan on the shoulder, and said with a hint of meaning, "You have good subordinates." Ethan's veins suddenly bulged out, and his fists clenched. "Olivia, what were you two doing just now?" I slowly pulled the dropped shoulder strap back up and looked at him expressionlessly. "Didn't you see everything?" Sophia said in surprise, covering her mouth. "Olivia, you're not having an affair with him, are you?" "Oh, Olivia, just drinking is enough. There's no need to do those things. Did you watch too many movies to do such unusual things?" She then pretended to be concerned and patted Ethan on the shoulder. "Ethan, don't think too much about it. Olivia must have said those things to upset you because you just went to the bathroom with me instead of her." Ethan didn't respond, his eyes fixed on me. "Olivia, I'm talking to you." I calmly walked past him and glanced at him. "What did you ask?" "It's just something that happens between a man and a woman. You put me and him together. Didn't you want this result?" "Ethan, that's enough for us here." I went straight to the elevator and didn't even look back. Sophia clung to Ethan, but Ethan ignored her completely. She rushed over in a state of emotional turmoil, but was blocked by a cleaning truck that happened to be passing by. He whispered something, but I couldn't hear it and didn't really want to. Then I limped out of the hotel. The cold wind stung my eyes, but I couldn't cry anymore. I don't think I can expect anything more from Ethan. After taking a taxi home, Ethan hadn't returned yet. I quietly packed my bags. Ethan had given me a lot of things, mostly designer brands, but none of them were handmade by him. He went to a lot of trouble to make Sophia a hairpin, but he only used money to deal with me. Maybe the change in fate had already begun the day Sophia came to our home, but we didn't notice. Fortunately, a short pain is better than a long one. I pick up my phone and check the train ticket. I plan to relax and go on a trip. Ethan is always too busy to spend time with me doing the things I like, but now I don't need him to keep me company. One reminder after another comes on my phone, and Ethan posts a few company messages in his circle of friends. It looks like he took Sophia out for a big meal. Holding Sophia's hand, the two of them went together to set off fireworks, and then went to the hotel together. The corner of the photo shows Sophia's wet hair in the background, wrapped in just a towel. Ethan's friends joked, "Oh dear, you two have finally gone public. When are you going to invite your friends to the wedding banquet?" Sophia is much better than Olivia. Not only can she support you in your career, she is also very pretty. You will definitely be a very lucky man to marry her. Ethan didn't reply. He just updated a status. Wedding invitation, groom Ethan, bride, Sophia. They can face everything without me. I made the mistake of leaving, so Ethan doesn't have to bear the name of an ungrateful person. Sophia is really his excellent assistant, and the design is very thoughtful. I liked it and bought a ticket. Afterwards, I set the video on my phone to send it at a scheduled time, and I also sent a screenshot of the ticket with the words "Start over." I put the suitcase away and tidied up the guest bedroom a little, planning to make do for one night and leave the next morning. In the middle of the night, I felt a pair of hands gently move from the small of my back. "Olivia, are you sleeping?" Ethan was a little drunk, and his face rested on my shoulder. Something wet dripped onto my skin and stained the sheets. "I love you so much. How could you betray me? Is that man really that good? Can he give you a better life? I hate to do this, but I'll have to break his fingers." I sat up and switched on the light. "Ethan, we've broken up. What do you want?" Ethan's eyes were red, and he lunged at me and tried to pull my clothes off. "You're willing to do anything for money, aren't you?" He thrust a bank card in my face. "I'll give you more money than that man can give you. I need you to help me now." I threw the card back at him without a second thought. "Ethan, you're crazy." The edge of the card grazed his forehead, leaving a light red mark. Ethan was so angry that he wanted to rush over to me, but because he had drunk too much, he staggered off the bed and hit his head on the corner. In the past, I would have rushed over to comfort him out of concern, but now, I just felt disgusted. Ethan covered his head and actually started to choke up. "Olivia, do you really want to leave me? You once said that you would love me forever, whether I succeeded or not." Of course I said those words, many times. Ethan's entrepreneurial journey was not easy. He lost all his money when he first failed. He was so sad, like a child who had made a mistake, and kept apologizing to me. I took his face in my hands, my tears welling up, but I spoke with determination. Whether you become a big boss or are in financial trouble in the future, I will be yours for the rest of my life. But he forgot his initial promise first. I dragged my suitcase and sat in the living room, planning to call a taxi to leave. I can't rest here anymore. You've given me enough money over the years, so I won't argue about the house and savings. I don't have the energy to fight over my career, so I'll leave it all to you. Ethan looked at me with a determined expression, but didn't say anything. Then he sat on the other side of the sofa and smoked fiercely. The cigarette butt fell to the ground, and he realized that there were no burnt remains of our photos in the trash can. Olivia, you burned all our photos? You didn't even want to keep one as a memento? You're so cold! Her tone was full of anger, her voice several times louder. I just looked at him calmly. I'm afraid your new wife will be a little jealous when she moves in. Ethan was speechless for a moment. The car arrived. I carried my suitcase downstairs and looked back at the house. Memories flashed through my mind like a revolving door, and finally they all disappeared. Goodbye. The next morning, I boarded a plane to Yunnan. Looking at the beautiful scenery of my homeland below, I suddenly realized that there are many different possibilities in life. I don't need to revolve around one person anymore, and I don't need to burn my hands full of blisters just to learn how to cook. I don't need to pick a time to call someone anymore, for fear of disturbing their rest. I don't need to sit alone in the living room until late at night, just waiting for him to come home to celebrate our anniversary. I am me. I suddenly realized that many things in my memory seem to be filtered, and only seem beautiful when there is expectation. In fact, they have long been in a state of disrepair. After getting off the plane, I cut off the long hair I had worn for a few years to cater to Ethan's aesthetic, and became a shoulder-length short hair. I also threw away the long skirts that Ethan liked, and bought a few work clothes that I like. The person in the mirror doesn't seem like me, but I feel that this is the real me. I rented a duplex apartment. There's a big terrace in front of the window where I can grow all kinds of flowers I like. The landlord's cat seems to like me a lot, always hanging around my feet and unwilling to leave. But Ethan is allergic to cat hair, so I never got the chance to get a cat of my own. After a busy day, I finally have time to check my phone in the evening. Ethan has updated a few photos of the wedding venue, but hasn't sent me a message. But Sophia has sent me hundreds of messages. Trying to get attention by letting go? Don't think too much, Ethan won't come looking for you. Ethan has let you go in his heart, and now I am the most important person in his heart. Ethan hates frivolous women like you. I warn you not to think too much. I have already left, and in this battle for affection, she has already won. But I still feel insecure. I smiled softly and didn't say anything. I picked up the kitten and took a selfie, posting it to my circle of friends. I felt very happy. Almost all of Ethan's relatives and friends had been deleted, leaving only his 15-year-old distant cousin. She was the only one in Ethan's family who had been genuinely nice to me, and we had a lot in common, including a love of photography and travel. She was too busy with her studies to hang out, though. I sent her a few postcards, and we had a few conversations, but we lost touch. I never thought that one day she would send me a video. She told me, "Olivia, do you know what? Something terrible happened at my cousin's wedding." At first, the wedding video was pretty normal. Ethan and Sophia were both wearing beautiful suits and wedding dresses, and they made promises to each other and exchanged rings under the guidance of the MC. They also drank a cup of wine. Ethan served tea to Sophia's parents to show his sincerity. Afterwards, he and Sophia went together to toast their relatives and friends. Sophia's parents were also very supportive of them and did introduce many business elites to Ethan. Ethan and Sophia were concentrating on discussing the project and were about to reach an agreement. Suddenly, Ethan's phone rang. He gradually looked unhappy in the video, and the fingers holding the phone turned white, as if he wanted to crush it. Sophia noticed that something was wrong with Ethan, so after smiling reassuringly at the client, she pulled Ethan aside. She asked, "Ethan, what's wrong? They're very interested in our company. Why are you so upset?" Ethan slapped Sophia. He said angrily, "You made Olivia leave." Sophia looked at the phone in shock, and her face slowly turned pale. She realized that this was a lie they had agreed on beforehand. The aim was to frame her. She has always been jealous of me and wanted to get rid of me. Ethan, can't you see that? She has evil intentions. With a slap, Ethan gave her another slap. Olivia is not the person you say she is. When did I get close to you? We are just in a cooperative relationship. You took the initiative to propose a fake marriage to advance the project, and I reluctantly agreed. You even spread rumors behind my back to sabotage our relationship. How disappointing! A third hand was already raised, and Ethan's hand was caught in midair. Sophia's father looked at him angrily. Ethan, you've really gone too far. How dare you hit my daughter? Sophia begged me for a long time to help you win this project, but if you keep this up, I'll have to reconsider your relationship with my daughter. Ethan desperately tried to break free and shouted angrily, "The wedding is off today." Sophia was shocked and her mouth fell open, and she froze. Ethan, what are you talking about? He used that slightly threatening tone again. Many people are competing for this big project, and my parents have gone to a lot of trouble over this. I'm telling you, if someone else gets this project, you won't be able to enter that high-class circle you've always wanted to enter. Ethan looked at her with red eyes and said with gritted teeth, I don't need it. Without Olivia, the company is meaningless no matter how big it is. Ethan decided on the spot to cancel the wedding, which made Sophia feel extremely embarrassed. Sophia's parents were very angry and began to lose their temper. The scene was in chaos and did not calm down until the police arrived. Olivia, my cousin is now in custody for assault. Sophia took the opportunity to take away many of the company's clients, leaving the company almost destitute. My cousin is really miserable. Do you want to go and see him? I didn't hesitate to reply that I wouldn't go. I changed my number. The climate in Yunnan is warm and suitable for recovering. My leg healed quickly, but I couldn't do any strenuous exercise. The shop downstairs was for sale, so I rented it and opened a flower shop. Every morning I woke up to prune the flowers, and in the evening I gave the unsold flowers to young couples on holiday. I had enough money to last me a lifetime. Now I just want to do what I like. Soon after, the landlord's cat gave birth to kittens, so I adopted both of them. I have 2 cats and a flower shop. Life is good. But sometimes I feel like someone is watching me. Then my phone suddenly received a reservation for 999 roses. I woke up early the next morning to start trimming things, when suddenly the door opened. A voice said, I'll take the flowers. I knew that voice all too well, but there was no emotion in my heart. I turned around and gave a soft smile to an old friend I hadn't seen in a long time. Please sit down. Ethan paused for a moment, sat down at the table by the window and looked at me silently. Olivia, your haircut looks great, it suits you. At that moment, a kitten ran over, and he subconsciously raised his hand to shoo it away, but stopped in midair and began to rub his nose nonstop. The kitten was really cute. I nodded in agreement. Ethan hesitated a little and continued to ask, Don't you think it's strange how I found you? My cousin once received a postcard from me, so an address is not that unusual. I shook my head. I kept trimming the flowers in my hands with my head down. Suddenly, a pair of large hands grasped the scissors in my hands. Olivia, I was wrong. I paused and let go of my hands. Ethan, I don't want to talk about the past anymore. Suddenly, Ethan knelt on the ground and frustratedly scratched his hair. Olivia, I never loved Sophia. It was she who first told me that if I agreed to marry her in name only, she could help me get in touch with my clients. And the hairpin was also one of her demands. Later, I married her because I was a bit reluctant to do so. Whenever I thought of you being with another man, I felt so bad. Olivia, now that everything is clear and the misunderstandings have been resolved, can we start again? Ethan was worried that I would not forgive him and kept apologizing. I admit that I have been a bit distracted over the past few years, but I have never forgotten everything you have done for me. Without you, there would be no Ethan today. Olivia, I sincerely beg you to forgive me. I looked at him indifferently and suddenly felt a little amused. Ethan, the hurt you have caused me is real, as is the fact that you doted on Sophia. Do you remember how hesitant you were when I first asked if you wanted to marry Sophia? I already knew the answer at the time, so don't make excuses. Be a real man and face it. Ethan stopped, lowered his head and thought for a long time, his whole body trembling. Finally, he couldn't help but burst into tears. I'm not very decisive. However, Ethan has known me for so many years and understands that I will not change my mind. He has completely withdrawn from my life. I was concentrating on pruning the flowers and didn't notice when Ethan left. It wasn't long before I saw the news online that Ethan's company had gone bankrupt. Someone had also quietly released a video of the wedding scene. Everyone felt sorry that Ethan's genius career had come to an end. However, some people were cynical and thought that if Ethan had been more determined, things would have turned out differently. In the final analysis, it was a lack of love for oneself that had caused this. Sophia's life also became less smooth. After the incident came to light, she was blacklisted by all companies. Former clients were greatly affected and suffered heavy losses as a result, and even sued her for compensation. None of this has anything to do with me. My daily life goes on as usual. I take care of the plants and feed the kitten. When I have time, I make a cup of tea and sit on the second-floor terrace, watching the tourists come and go downstairs. If nothing has changed, I think at this time, I would have happily received my marriage certificate with Ethan and prepared to welcome a new life together. Unfortunately, things did not develop as expected. No one can predict the future, so it is most important to live in the present and enjoy the moment. Although Ethan did not leave, he no longer appeared in front of me. He quietly stayed behind, and from time to time, he would ask people to buy flowers to help me improve my sales. When it rained, he would put an umbrella in front of my shop, and when it was hot, he would bring me my favorite tea. Regular customers always joked that there was a man who seemed to have a secret crush on me and always watched me silently from around the shop. I laughed and pretended I hadn't heard, and let bygones be bygones. I spent a few springs and summers like this. I got a lot of cats, and even opened a branch store. In my spare time, I learned to dance and paint, and even entered a few competitions, winning some encouragement prizes. Ethan would carefully select a gift each time, and then secretly leave it at the front of the shop. This life ended that spring. I fell in love. My boyfriend loved cats as much as I did and enjoyed life to the fullest. That day, Ethan waited in front of my shop all night. When I opened the door the next day, I saw a pile of ashes on the ground next to a small, exquisite box. I opened it and found a hairpin inside. There were only 4 words on the note: I wish you happiness. That was the last time I saw Ethan.